So we're gonna make some Fiesta salad, and I'm gonna give you the instructions real quick. This is 3 pounds of, I like to get lean beef. It cuts out the grease. 3 pounds would probably be good for you guys. For us, probably just gonna make about 2 pounds. I'm gonna get this chili. McCormick is my favorite. If you notice back here, it'll tell you what you need, and you see how it says 1 pound of ground beef. You can always adjust that. It doesn't always have to be exactly what it says. It also says 1 can of diced tomatoes or 2 cans of tomato sauce. There's a tomato sauce that I like to use. And it says 1 can of kidney or pinto beans. And I like to use ranch style beans, but you guys can use whichever one you like. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our meat. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cook our meat. We're going to brown our meat with salt and pepper, or you can use season all. I like to use this seasoned salt and just regular old black pepper. Or you can use just regular salt and pepper, but you have to make sure that you keep it, even. Not too salty and not too peppery, because you're definitely going to be able to taste it. I'm going to make the meat in a bowl like this, because I'm going to add all this stuff to it, and it's going to end up being chili. I just use the boil in a bag, which is the fastest, easiest way to make the white rice. I'm going to use it in there, and I'm just using a bunch of chips that we haven't eaten. So normally with ground beef, I'm going to season it. Sprinkle seasoned salt. Sprinkle pepper. And I like to use a little bit of garlic salt just for a little bit more flavor. Not too much because it is salt. For ground beef, it's really easy to cook. You really don't need to add grease because it has its own. It cooks very fast. You can't walk away from ground beef. Just cut it all up so it can cook really evenly. This is how quickly ground beef browns. So you just want to make sure that it's all nice and chopped up. And you just keep moving it around until you no longer see red. That's pretty much it, That's the idea, is that you don't see any more red in here. I didn't put any grease or anything, and you see how it's cooking itself. This is its own grease. So there's no more red. I turned off the heat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get rid of this grease. Okay, I'm going to squeeze it out of there. So all I did was lean this puppy over to get the grease on this side. And I'm just going to take this grease out pretty much. I use like old candles. You can't throw grease in the sink because it will clog it up. If you leave this grease in here, your Fiesta salad will not taste good. It will be super greasy. So you just gotta take as much of this excess grease out. That's why I like to use lean meat, because if I hadn't used lean meat, there would have been much more of this grease to remove. So I'm gonna remove as much of this as possible. You're not gonna be able to remove all of it, but as much of it as possible is kind of the idea. Okay, so see how I was not able to get all the grease? Well, that's okay, no biggie. So the next part, you're just gonna wanna have on, decent heat, not medium, not high. This little bit of grease is not gonna hurt anything. I usually just mix it in there. The reason that you'll wanna low heat is because this next part is to simmer. Pretty much you just want these ingredients to seep into each other. I always have everything open so that I can get ready. I like to throw in my tomato sauce, one of my tomato sauce first. And then I will toss in the chili mix. Get the beans in there. And then that last can of tomato sauce. And then that's it. So again, you'll want this to be on low heat because you're done actually cooking the meat. What you want to do now is you don't want to actually cook the meat, but you want this to simmer. And you want all of these ingredients to mix. So mix as much as possible to where you can't see the difference between your carnita and your beans and your sauce. Mix that up. And then you're just gonna let this simmer. And simmer, you'll see it start to kind of boil. And that's when you know that these ingredients are mixing successfully. All right, so while you've got your chili simmering over there, we're gonna do a pretty high heat for your bowl of water. I'm gonna do 2 bags of rice, so I'm just gonna dunk them in there pretty much. I'm just gonna do high heat so that this water starts to boil fairly quickly. And just put my rice in there, and it says 10 minutes, so that's what I'll do. Okay, so you see that little bubbling? It's starting to simmer. When it starts to just kind of pop out of there is when you want to turn it off. So I'm gonna put 2 of these bags in here. You guys might need 4. You can put them in here at the same time, and you'll just want to submerge it in the water just to make sure that the rice cooks. You don't want to overcook this, so make sure you look at the time. So in exactly 10 minutes, I'm gonna pull this rice out, because if it's overcooked, it's not gonna be good. So I'm gonna do 10 minutes from now. Gonna wait for this to bubble a little bit more, and then pretty much I'm just gonna turn it off and cover it. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. And I'm gonna take a rice bag out of the water. I'm gonna try to let as much of the water out as possible. I'm just gonna put this aside, and I'm gonna do the same thing with that, and then I'm gonna empty this water. Okay, so what I did is I took the water out, so now I'm just gonna put this puppy back in there. Do that with both. Okay, so there's the rice, no heat on there. I'm just gonna come and get some butter. And the butter is not really for taste, but it's to keep the rice from sticking to itself. So you just let the butter melt in there because the rice is still hot, so you just move it around. Again, the butter is just so that the rice doesn't stick to itself. And that's it. Chop up your lettuce, tomato, get your cheese, your salsa, and you're ready to go.